Welcome to Cutoff Genes, the podcast that helps you find your truth using nothing but DNA. I'm Julie Dixon Jackson, and I am a genetic genealogist, henceforth known as a Gen Genie.
I am Richard Castle, the producer and co-host. I say that proudly now.
Yay! And he was sleeping, by the way, just then. You may have noticed a pause.
I was like, oh yeah, I'm Richard. I always wake up and say that immediately. I'm Richard Castle. I'm producer, co-host.
He's so sick of listening to me.
No, not at all. I look forward to it.
Okay.
Buddy and I both do.
Yes, but I don't know about Buddy.
Well,
to tell you the truth, I'm not convinced.
My dog is still wearing a cone of shame, everybody.
It's square.
And he hears me talking about him and his tail starts wagging. But I think he just hopes that there's some treats on the horizon. And of course, you know, there are.
Yeah, they're right here, right next to my hand.
Speaking of treats on the horizon,
Treats.
I know people will be listening to this after this, but today we're recording this. It is Election Day.
It's Election Day.
Have you voted?
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about Halloween because of treats on the horizon.
No, that would be on the past horizon. That's like
the way past a week ago. Yeah.
Yes.
By the way, I did hide. So, wait, what was the question? Oh,
I
yeah,
said it's
voting.
Election Day. Did you vote?
Yes.
Yes. I did the mail-in vote for the first time, and I was kind of happy to do that because then I didn't have to worry about, how will I get to the polls, and, is it going to be crowded or whatever. So I'm really happy that I did my civic duty, and it really felt like a duty this year. Everything's so important.
Absolutely.
And also just there was a lot on the ballot, at least here in California, in Los Angeles. So there was a lot to read through. And well, you know what? I always try to go and look at the voting guides, and then I read the information, and I try to be an informed citizen.
Right. All right, fine. Let's talk about genetic genealogy.
I would like that.
All right. Hey, guys, it is close to the holidays, and you know what that means? Sale time.
Oh, yeah.
Ancestry DNA has kits for $59 right now. Guys, you could, skip your Starbucks for a few days.
That's about it.
And you can afford it.
Wow.
And I know for a lot of people that's a lot of money, but there's also, I believe, Cece said something about this, but I'm not sure. I haven't seen it in action yet. She said something about buying 3 and getting 1 free at the $59 price, which is crazy.
What is the normal price for it?
100, like 99 or 100.
Really?
I think.
Okay.
I mean, that's a great bargain.
Yeah, that is. That's a really good sale.
Yes. And 23andMe is having, I think 23andMe's tests are $49 right now.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
But you recommend the Ancestry?
I recommend
ones.
Ancestry because that's what I focus on the most. And for me, it has the biggest database. And for what I do with the DNA, it's just the most useful. Right. So I encourage people to do Ancestry, but you should always fish in all the ponds, any and all ponds.
Okay,
Fish.
now you've lost me because I haven't fished since I was in camp, and I got freaked out trying to put a worm on the hook, and I was like, never again.
I had fishing trauma.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I hooked my cousin in the head with a hook.
Oh my God.
Right by his eye. Oh. I'd never fished again. I was trying to cast. What is that called? Casting off.
Yeah. Well, whatever.
That sounds like a knitting thing.
Cast away. I don't know. Clearly, we are not fishermen here.
Not so much the outdoors people, but you already knew that. It's kind of a given, really.
When I roughed it when I was a kid, we put a tent in the backyard and camped overnight, but we ran inside for treats and to use the bathroom.
Oh, we really camp. Growing up in Australia, you camp.
Really?
We camped.
Yeah, I haven't camped.
I haven't either.
Most I've ever camped was never.
Good for you. All right. Anyway, DNA.
Oh, yes.
So, yes.
But we digress. As we always do.
As always. Yes. So they're on sale right now. Get on that, guys. If you can, stock up. Even if you don't have anyone to test right now, I think it's always good to have them.
Yeah, because you never know. You might meet another relative or find somebody that could be a possible relative like you have and say, here, do this test. It's free.
I've done it so much, you guys. I just said, so have you ever thought about taking a DNA test to a complete stranger? Like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I'll send you one.
I think you should buy stock in Ancestry if there is stock in it.
Yeah.
Because you're such a good promoter of it.
Why are they not advertising through me?
I don't know. Ancestry, if you're listening.
I don't think they are.
Oh, well.
Yeah. I don't think
Ancestry, if you're listening, and then I hear crickets.
Crickets? Yes, they're not. Bye, Ancestry.
Didn't you say it's owned by the Mormon Church?
Yes.
Okay, well, there's got to be some Mormon listeners. Tell your church we want them to advertise on our show.
You know what? If there are Mormon listeners, will you contact me because I have a question?
Oh,
actually,
just one?
Actually, if there are Mormon listeners and if there are former Mormon listeners, somebody actually in the group, when I asked for questions, as I do, as is my way, somebody said you should definitely talk to a Mormon about their connection to genealogy and
great.
how, so I would like to do that.
Sounds like a really interesting subject for a podcast or a future
it
podcast.
Does.
All right, Mormons.
All right. Come at me, Mormons.
Come on. Knock on her door.
Come and knock on my door. Okay. So that's the deal. It's sale time, holiday time, sale time, which means we're going to get an influx of new matches after the holidays, which is fantastic. Okay, next. MyHeritage Live 2018 was just held in Oslo, Norway. MyHeritage is, of course, one of the companies, one of the DNA companies and database companies.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a few bullet points of their announcements that was made. Let me see. So it now has just under 2 million participants. That is 8 million less than Ancestry. I will just say that, but it's growing. It's absolutely growing. Right. And very relevant.
Well, at one time, IBM was bigger than Microsoft, and then Microsoft took over, and then Apple was small, and now they're huge. So you never know what the next, DNA company will take over.
Well, I think now it's a race to have the most features because listen to this. Okay. This is intriguing. So some of the new features are something called Shared Ancestral Places, which is live now. It's an interactive map of the location and significant life events, birth and death, of you and your matches. It'll be particularly useful if you don't know how you match. And there's no common surname, but you can discover that you both have ancestors in the same location or close proximity, and the locations are geocoded to avoid issues such as spelling and inconsistent data entry. That's cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you often find things don't match up because somebody misspelled something or...
That's not what I think is cool. What I think is cool is just the locations. Like, you don't know your matches. You don't know how you can... They don't have a tree, for example, or they have a very sparse tree. Or they don't respond to a message, but you can see where their ancestors are or where they have certain people. And if it's in a very specific place... Mm-hmm. that you also have people from, that gives you a clue as to where to really focus.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good feature to have for MyHeritage.
Definitely. Yeah. So there's a future feature. A future feature.
Is that like
a double feature? I knew you were going to jump on that. Future feature. Creature
double feature. When I was growing up in Boston, every Saturday there was a creature double feature.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they'd show Godzilla and King Kong. Or,
in the movie house? In the oldie movie house?
No, this was on television.
Okay.
This is on Channel 56. And Dale Dorman, he was oh my God, this is in Boston. Dale Dorman was like a DJ who also did things on, he was a voiceover artist on this channel. It was like a UHF channel, if you remember that. Do you remember VHF and UHF?
Well, I'm older than you, so I would think so.
Well, yeah, but you weren't living in this country at that time.
Oh, we had even less.
So maybe they didn't call it that.
Yeah, no, I remember. Yeah,
right. But anyways,
I didn't know what it meant.
And he would introduce two movies: The Amazing Colossal Man, or what was the other one? The Incredible Shrinking Man. So they would do these little fun ones. Yeah.
Remember The Incredible Shrinking Man?
Oh my God,
Rod Taylor.
No, it was not. It was Grant something. Yeah, blonde guy. It was not Rod Taylor.
Was he the one that got into a fight with the tarantula?
Yes. Rod Taylor.
And he stabbed it with a pin.
Rod Taylor was in it was some other
Rod Taylor was in the time travel one.
Yes.
Yes.
The Time Machine.
Yeah, the Time Machine.
Yes.
But I thought that was him too.
No.
Okay. All right. Shall we put a bet on it? No, I'm kidding.
I will put a bet on it because I actually know that. Believe me, I know my creature double feature, Julie.
Somehow, I think you must be right.
So this is a future feature.
Future feature: ancestor reconstruction.
Okay.
Okay, and it says if multiple descendants of a particular ancestor test, MyHeritage will create a kit for your ancestor and combine the segments from the multiple descendants identified as originating with that ancestor. referring to this as a painting. Now that's interesting.
It would be if I
If
understood
you
what
knew
it
what
meant.
it meant. So basically, they're going to combine. If you have a group of people that you know are all descended from this one specific ancestor, I guess you can program it into some kind of chromosome browser where they can then take all of the shared DNA on the chromosomes where you match with these people and build like a faux version of that ancestor.
Oh, okay.
Not like a human, not like a 3D type thing, but
I should hope
like
not.
a kit. Yeah, it says, okay, MyHeritage will create a kit for your ancestor and combine the segments from the multiple descendants identified as originating with that ancestor.
So it's not like a mail order bride or something.
No, a mail order ancestor. That is intriguing, but I don't know how it would be of use, so I will look that up and talk to somebody else about it. All right, and this is an exciting one. Artifact testing. Envelopes and stamps.
Oh.
It's coming soon.
Oh.
MyHeritage is partnering with a third-party unnamed firm to extract DNA from envelopes and stamps. The results will be used to create a kit for that ancestor at MyHeritage. Cost was not discussed. We already know it's quite expensive with that other company.
So this is sort of like what the police and FBI have been doing to find... No?
Nope. This is getting it from... Well...
Are you saying, okay, let me just give you a hypothetical.
Okay,
so
right.
say, my grandfather is dead and there's no way for me to get any DNA from him. But yet I have a letter that he wrote to me and perhaps there's a stamp and I can get his DNA information from that. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Wow, that is really future sci-fi. That's incredible.
It's, I mean, I don't think it's a guarantee. It depends on how much DNA is on it.
Right.
But I talked about this a few months ago. There was a company that was doing it in England, and they had identified somebody. It's particularly, I've been able to narrow down many people's bio people to one of several siblings.
Okay.
But none of those siblings have offspring. So there's nobody to test because we've gone as far as we can to separate other than an offspring of them. You know what I mean? They're all kind of on an even playing field.
Yes.
You know who both of their parents are. And if you don't have somebody that is an offspring of them, you don't. So this is a great way to actually get their DNA. So if one of their brothers or sisters has an old letter or something from them, they could feasibly.
And I mean, again, even that you're thinking, well, did my grandfather lick that stamp, or did he hand it to his wife and say, I want to mail this, and then my grandmother mailed it,
Oh, interesting.
Well, really?
Yeah, that is something to think about. Well,
I mean, chances are,
in my mind, he's a single guy.
Yeah.
And there was no woman to lick it. He literally licked it himself. At least we know that back then, or 20 years ago, and beyond, you did have to lick stamps.
Sure.
Oh, unless you had one of those spongy things.
Oh, God, forget. So you could spend a whole lot of money on this test and get nothing.
Yes.
But it's worth a try.
It's absolutely worth a try.
And I think if you're really want to go further back, I mean, before the people started to figure out that you could use little wet sponges to wet your stamp.
That's true. They probably didn't have too many spongy things.
Yeah, or people didn't use those when they were just sending a letter. It was only if you were sending out hundreds of letters.
Yeah.
And most grandfathers didn't send out hundreds of letters at one time, unless they had a lot of grandchildren they were writing to.
Christmas time.
Yes, exactly.
There's more to this. This technique will also be used to add the DNA of famous people to their database.
Is this the thing where like the psychic that always tells you that you're somehow related to some famous, like Mary Queen of Scots?
Oh, you mean all psychics? Well, Ancestry does have that feature, that app.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, it says, "Are we related?" And you're always somehow related based on your ancestry tree,
right?
And their ancestry trees, but it's very loosey goosey.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think I'm like a third cousin, 5 times removed from Barbra Streisand's houseboy. That's about as close as I got to anybody famous.
What a coincidence! I'm related to the guy that runs the department store in her basement. I found somebody this week that is related, whose DNA I'm working on, who is related to the mayor of Los Angeles.
Eric Garcetti?
Yes, Eric Garcetti and Gil Garcetti.
Oh,
and they're an adoptee. And so I haven't told them yet, but I was like, that says Eric Garcetti. Could that be? And I looked at him like, that is Eric Garcetti.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if I should have said that. That doesn't matter. Okay.
Forget what you just heard, people.
Act casual, say nothing. But there's more. But wait. X chromosomal information will be added soon. Okay. Maternal-paternal side match indicators will be added soon.
Okay.
There's a beta product that's shown now, apparently. Mass segment triangulation in the future. Oh. That's all I need to say about that. Okay.
I don't even know what that means. So
mass segment. Well, you know what triangulation is.
Yes, I remember.
Actually, we're going to go back into that in a minute. So there's a bunch of new stuff, you guys, at MyHeritage. So go check it out. I'm certainly going to do that because it's exciting.
And you can report back to me because I don't have anything on any of those.
I'll
sites
report
yet.
back to you.
Nobody has gotten me a DNA test for Christmas. Or Hanukkah.
Noted.
8 days of it.
8 DNA tests for you and all your family.
On my first day of Hanukkah, Julie gave to me
a DNA test. A DNA test. Oh, there's got to be a better way to do it. All right,
Yes.
we need to go take a break and write a correct song.
a branch to my family tree.
Boom!
If you're enjoying Cutoff Genes, please subscribe, rate, and review. Now, back to Julie and me.
Okay, we're back just in time to tell you that the actor in The Incredible Shrinking Man was Grant Williams.
Grant Williams. No
Yes.
wonder I couldn't remember. It's a very common, nondescript name. Grant Williams.
Wow,
Yes.
not very unique, is it?
No, but he was. I remember. It was a good movie as a kid. Of course, I have not revisited it to find
The
out.
tarantula and the pin scared the bejesus out of me.
I just remember at the end, he's so small that he crawls through a screen, like through the little,
Oh, man.
And it was just so well done.
I was obsessed with that. So that and The Incredible Journey, remember? Or was it Fantastic Journey? Where the people got shrunk and they're inside the human body?
Yeah, that kind of disturbed me, but all right.
I was obsessed with that.
Really?
All right, let's keep going. Hey, guys, guess what? I forgot to do Corrections Corner.
Uh-oh.
It's kind of important this week,
That's
too.
a correction.
That's a correction.
Yeah.
I'm correcting my lack of Corrections Corner. All right, so Bobby Ginder, who's a regular listener, says, I've been meaning to send you a correction on one of your earliest podcasts. It's only episode 28, Bobby, but okay. I don't remember if it was episode 1, 2, or 3.
Oh.
I appreciate it anyway. But in one of those episodes, you'd mentioned triangulation as being more than 3 individuals matching on the same chromosome. Well, that's partially true. They also have to match on the exact same segment of that chromosome. You forgot to mention that part. Okay. That's crazy that I forgot to mention that part. I think you're wrong, but I'm going to say it again.
You could go back and listen to those first 3 episodes.
I could, but who has time? So, yes, triangulation is matching 3 or more people on the same chromosome, but also they also have to match each other on the same chromosome, and they all have to overlap on the same chromosome. So they have to be in the same location. That's triangulation.
Okay.
So that's that correction. And I appreciate it, Bobby. And corrections are always welcome because I am not a scientist.
And even scientists make mistakes.
All right, here's a question from Facebook. This lady writes, curious, I'm estranged from my mom, so asking her for a DNA test won't happen. I'm the only one who will do a DNA test in my direct family line due to religious issues, and she's also at the end of the line in her family.
Oh, okay.
Right. Her DNA doesn't find anyone closer than like a third cousin. So she says when her mom dies, her cousin's mortuary will take care of her. Can I have them do a sample, or does it need to be living? I'm her only beneficiary in charge of her estate if this is a legal matter.
Oh, dear. This is icky.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So she's basically saying, can I get a sample off of my dead mother's body?
Yes. Ooh. So there's an ethic question.
Yes.
Ethical question here. And so let's first go about the scientific question as to whether this is possible. And the answer is yes. Yes.
Okay, it's possible.
It needs to be done. You have to do it with a cheek swab, obviously, and it needs to be done before embalming and within 48 hours of the death.
And I think that's a violation, and she should just not be estranged from her mother if she wants to get that DNA test. If it's that important to her that she's willing to go to her mother's grave to get it, I think she should, try to at least make nice with her mother,
right?
Just for this.
Well, we don't know what the issue is.
No,
but I do see your point.
Because
it seems very invasive.
Yeah, you would not want someone to do something to your body that you did not approve of beforehand.
She is her only beneficiary in charge, so she is legally allowed to do this.
That doesn't matter to me. I mean, this is an ethical
Yeah.
question, not a legal question.
Yeah. I agree with you. I was curious how often this happens. I've read about it happening.
Really?
Before.
Okay.
I have, and so I called a couple mortuaries, as you do, just to see what they had to say. I called a very small one, and the guy that answered the phone said some people have requested hair with the roots, but none of the swabs. He hasn't.
Right. Okay.
Then I called a larger national Jewish mortuary.
Okay.
And I actually got connected to the embalmer.
Oh, okay. Well, then go right to the source.
Exactly. Yeah. So she said, yes, it can be done if requested, and they will do it. You probably know this. The Jewish don't embalm.
Right.
So that's a bonus because they have, this is weird, they have refrigerators there where they keep the bodies before they are buried.
Yes.
So it's if you take a little longer to do it, you're not going to have to worry about the embalming.
The DNA material doesn't degrade over time?
It degrades after 48 hours.
Okay.
Supposedly. But, the bottom line is you're going to want to do it before 48 hours. But also, I mean, I don't know if her mother wouldn't DNA test because she doesn't believe in DNA testing.
Right.
Or because she just doesn't want to talk to her.
Right.
So I think maybe you were right. She should go back and try to make nice with her mom.
Oh, sure. And if her mother does have some kind of objection to it, religious or otherwise, then that means
if it's a religious objection, absolutely.
Then you don't go and desecrate the body, as far as I'm concerned, afterwards, just because you want some answers.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially, this is almost like... whenever you hear about people digging up a grave to say, and I don't mean like for illegal purposes, but to move a body or whatever, you always just like, wow, I don't know. It's just it
happens way more than you realize.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
But this seems very, to me, selfish because there is a way to get an answer from the person and get their consent.
Yes. And if they're all declining to consent because of religious reasons, that should be the final answer.
That's it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Find someone else, find another relative, and if that's not going to happen for you and you're the end of the line, then I'm sorry. But, people deserve answers, but people don't need necessarily to get answers at the expense of somebody's religious beliefs or their own personal convictions, in my opinion.
That I will agree with you.
Wow.
Are you surprised?
No, because you're a very ethical person. However, a little surprised in that I know you believe everybody has a right to their DNA.
I do believe everybody. And also this, I don't remember what page this question was on. I just thought it was interesting. And I don't know if this person is an adoptee or, you know what I mean? I don't know how in the dark she is.
Right. And I would imagine when you say you're estranged from your mother, it doesn't sound like adoptee. Like estranged is a different word that you use with somebody that you were once close with.
Right. Although I do hear adoptees talk about being in reunion and going through the honeymoon phase, and then they are later become estranged.
Right.
Although she is her only beneficiary in charge of her estate.
So she's not, She's
family. She's obviously family.
She's family.
Yeah. Anyway.
You've got to respect people and people's wishes.
Always respect people's wishes.
Yes.
Yes. I think that is the bottom line there. I will agree with you. And on that note, take a break.
Thank you for listening to Cutoff Genes, the new podcast starring Julie Dixon Jackson.
Welcome back.
Yay.
It's that time of the show where we tell a story.
I love a good story.
I do too.
Yeah, and the first two parts of this story were really interesting. I can't wait for the next.
Yeah, this is the last and final episode of Pattie O'Donnell's Mamma Mia style epic Odyssey.
Without the music.
Without the music.
Without the copyright infringement.
Once again. Okay, so have a listen to this and we'll catch you on the other side.
So the ancestry was tapped out. And then From my DNA, and you know this from all the DNA websites, they always tell you, fish in all the ponds.
Yes, indeed.
So you don't just do 23andMe. Once you get your Ancestry, you put Ancestry on GenMatch, and you put Ancestry on MyHeritage DNA, and you put Ancestry on Family Tree DNA, because those 3 let you upload. So I did that. And MyHeritage takes like 2 or 3 days to process. And it processed, and I immediately had another half-sister hit.
Oh, wow. On MyHeritage.
On MyHeritage.
I've never had luck with MyHeritage. Okay, cool.
No, I have like no relatives live there, but I got a half-sister.
Wow, okay.
And my first thought is, oh, Mimi, not a third one. But it wasn't. It was her name was Lori, and thank God she had a really unusual ethnic last name.
Oh.
Because all the names on my tree were West, White, Gray, names you cannot research.
Right. Ugh.
And so I looked on Facebook, and boom, here's this ethnic name girl, and she fortunately had included her maiden name on her Facebook.
Oh, good.
And it rang a bell. It was one of the families that was on my mirror tree, and I couldn't figure out how they were related.
Oh, okay.
And they had a son the exact right age.
Boom. Okay.
So I Googled them, and the first page was all obituaries.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was kind of a kick in the stomach, right?
Oh, so it was definitely him.
Oh, it was him, yeah.
Oh, and he passed. Oh.
Yeah. He had been a pretty prominent law professor, and so there was like a ton of obituaries. And so I was super proud, like, oh my God, this guy is smart, accomplished, and it listed all the good things he did in the world, and he really sounded like a great guy, but he was gone, so I never got to meet him because Mimi just decided I didn't get to meet him.
Yep. Yep. That sounds familiar.
And that sounds familiar to you too, right?
It does, yeah.
No. So
how long ago had he died, or before you found him?
2009, and that broke my heart.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, it was something sudden, and he was in pretty good health when it happened. So that was heartbreaking.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Yeah, he just had an accident. So I decided, oh my God, I'm going to have to call this sister. But before I did that, I went through and I dug up the marriage records because I wanted to be sure that he had married after me, so that I wasn't breaking the news to her that, oh, your dad was cheating.
Yeah, that's nice. That's kind of you.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of me because I found out that he wasn't, and I don't know what I would have done if he had been. I still might have called her. That was going to be my
next question, right?
But I can rationalize that I'm a good person and I wouldn't.
Sure. Okay, go for it. All right.
So I sent her a Facebook message to call, which never works, right? Because people don't accept stranger Facebook messages. But she called right away, and she goes, "Are you calling about the tire that's for sale?"
The tire?
Yeah, the truck tire.
Okay. She was trying to sell a truck tire on Facebook?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
As you do.
She told me last weekend, she goes, "I never did sell that damn tire."
She should make it into a swing. A memorial swing.
Yeah. So because she saw the tire, she answered it right away with this heavy Midwest accent. My first thought is, well, this couldn't be my sister. She's a Midwest accent. And then I'm like, well, she grew up in Milwaukee, so yeah.
Sure, yeah.
So I said to her, no, I'm not buying the tire. Do you remember doing a DNA test? And she was like, sort of. And I said, well, it showed that we're half-sisters. And she goes, no, that's not possible. You don't understand. My father was a dorky law professor. He didn't run around with women. And I was like, well, the DNA says we're half-sisters. And she said, well, he wasn't even in 1960. And I said, well, he didn't have to be there in 1960. He had to be there in the summer of 59.
Uh-huh.
And she cracked up. And she goes, yeah, I think he was down at the shore at the that's what we call back east.
Yes.
Down the shore. She goes, I think he was down the shore in the summer of 59.
Okay.
And then she goes, who's your birth mother? Very suspicious.
Yeah.
Who's your birth mother? And I said, and she goes, oh my God, Dad slept with Mimi.
Oh my God. Okay.
She knew Mimi. She knew me. And then I started to shake and get like a panic attack. And I'm like, wait a second, how do you possibly know Mimi? Well, it turns out that she and her brother had teased their father his whole life that there was no way that a big dork like him had dated two hot women, their mom and Mimi.
Oh,
so he must have made up Mimi. He had talked about Mimi his whole life. She was the one that got away. Like he carried a torch for that woman his whole life.
Okay.
So, and that was kind of nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice to find out that whatever else, even if it wasn't reciprocated, he loved my mother.
Yes.
What's really bizarre is that two of Lori's aunts, so Wally, her father's Wally, Wally's sister and sister-in-law were both Mimi's best friends.
Oh.
To this day. Well, the one sister, his sisters died, and she was friends with Mimi, but his sister-in-law is still alive, and they're best friends to this day.
That is crazy.
In fact, she had dated Wally after my mom did. And my mom was like fine with it because that's how small towns go, you know.
Yeah, I guess so.
They all date each other.
Share and
so
share alike. Yeah.
Yeah. So and she's still best friends. And so my sister says to me, "Hey, look on Facebook. We have cousins in the Philadelphia area." And I said, "Okay." So I looked up my cousin, and here we have mutual friends, and one of them's my best friend.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That
so
is
my friend,
crazy.
I know. So my friend immediately calls my cousin Susie and set up dinner for a few days later. And here we've met like several times. We've been to a bunch of the same parties. We helped get together to throw a surprise party for somebody. And this is the sixth largest city in America. And yeah, I'm already friendly with my cousin.
Oh,
and she was great. She was great. She gave me all the information that I needed because her mom was married to Wally's brother.
Right.
And was to this day Mimi's best friend. So I got all that information. And I don't know what you found, Julie, but I think like cousins and aunts are just a treasure trove.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I agree.
They've got all the information without the emotional baggage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was able to. And so she was like able to tell me why Mimi wouldn't marry Wally, which was they had dated all summer, and he told everybody they were getting married. But then she broke it off because he was a heavy drinker. And, you know, she was trying to get her mom and siblings out of that situation. And she basically told him she'd never wanted to live with an alcoholic.
Oh,
and
okay.
she has told me over the years many times, I didn't want you going through what I went through. And I always thought she meant, well, she didn't want to expose me to my grandfather.
Yeah.
But what she meant was she was talking about my father, which I didn't know.
Interesting. So
yeah.
How did Mimi react when you told her?
I haven't.
You haven't?
I haven't told her.
Okay.
Well, it's like she's like a feral cat. Well, let me tell you. Wait, hold on. Let me tell you real quick.
Go ahead.
So, I think she really didn't marry him because she didn't love him. Because how many women rationalize people's drinking or figure they can fix the guy, right?
Right. If they love them, they love them. Right.
Right. I don't think she loved him. Mm-hmm. Although my aunt remembers Wally announcing his engagement to Lori's mom, you know, who he ended up marrying, at a party, which probably happened right after I was born, and Mimi was at that party. And my aunt remembers her looking stricken and thinking, why would you be stricken? You didn't even like him.
Oh, wow.
So who knows what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then my sister tells a story about going over to her father's apartment after her mother threw him out because of the drinking.
Right.
And there was a woman.
Oh.
And she described her as tall and thin. So we'll see. I mean, I'm going to have to find out if she ever met up with him after he got divorced from the first wife.
Oh, yeah, you got to find that out. Yeah.
Yeah. So nobody looks like me.
Okay.
Wally was 6'4", so now we know where that came from.
Sure.
His son is 6'2". Mm-hmm. The daughter's short. Yeah. Nicest person I ever met, but not the height isn't there.
Right.
So I got 2 new half siblings. really, really wonderful people.
Oh, that's great.
Darling new sister, cool new brother, 2 great cousins. All that's wonderful. I think what helped is the dad was gone. They knew about his relationship with my birth mother, and it happened before their parents were engaged.
Yep.
I think they are all big helps.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So but I haven't told Mimi, and as you know, I'm still having panic attacks, and I'm still freaking out over this because it's like a feral cat.
Yeah.
Like, I'm scared to death if I say something, she'll stop talking to me.
Yeah, she has that fight or flight mentality.
Yeah, and I don't know. We can't meet in person because she's legally blind, and her sister won't let her out of the house unescorted. And
can you go to the house while they're at church?
She says the neighbors will see and report.
Oh,
and ask who that was. Yeah, small town.
Mrs. Kravitz lives next door, apparently. Okay.
Well, small town. She's lived there in the same house her whole life.
Oh, right.
Now, the only way that I might be able to see her is to do it at my aunt's house because she does see my aunt all the time.
Okay.
So I think I'm hoping that we can work it out. You know, eventually I'll tell her and maybe we can meet at my aunt's, but we'll see. But so I'm talking to Mimi on the phone and I say to her, she was chattering away, and she mentioned a law professor she dated, which she's never in her life mentioned anybody but doctors.
Yeah.
And I go, you mean Wally? And she goes, no, that was somebody else. No, Wally and I were just friends. She goes, he used to come east every summer, and we'd meet up, and people would assume we were interested in each other, and we were just friends. I was not attracted to him.
Did she ask you how you knew about Wally?
No. No. But she hasn't called me in a few weeks, so I wonder if she's figured out that I know.
So was that the last conversation you had with her? Was about Wally? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So I think
you're right.
She is, yeah. Yep. So I don't know. I don't know where this stands now. It's sort of incomplete. We have a cliffhanger without a resolution, although, you know.
Well, you'll have to catch us up. When
I will. I will. I'll let you. I'll text you and let you know. But yeah, I mean, I really think that she looks at Kay and I like we're just cartoon ticking time bombs that are out to ruin her life.
Yeah.
Instead of like you've got 2 daughters, who both. I mean, even Kay would be happy if she were kind to her. I think we'd both be happy to be friends with her and take care of her, and you know. But she. And here's the other thing. Her best friend and her have daughters who are friends.
Yeah.
That are first cousins and friends. How nice is that?
That's great. That's amazing.
But she doesn't, you know, she doesn't, yeah, that's all. We don't know about that.
She could have benefited from some therapy, I think.
Oh, absolutely. One of my girlfriends who's a birth mother said, I guess she's never had therapy.
Yeah.
No.
That's what it sounds like. She's literally just, you know, kept it all inside and dealt with it.
She never told one person. I assume that my uncle who died, her brother, must have helped her because somebody had to have helped her.
Yeah.
And I think it might have been her brother.
Huh.
But I don't know. We don't talk about that. We do not. When we talk on the phone, we talk about things that have happened since 2018.
Right.
And if she wants to bring up the past, she'll talk about traveling or talk about some old boyfriend that wasn't my father. Although she did tell a funny story about some dorky guy she dated who dumped her over in a rowboat, and she had to go back to his house and get it changed into his brother's clothes. And I assume that was my father because of the dorky part and the irritation she expressed.
Oh wow! I think maybe she had a secret attraction to dorks and just can't admit it.
Well, she obviously found him attractive once,
yes,
right?
Yes, she was obviously very curious. So,
yeah, that's what kills me. She sat there for like 5 minutes telling me that she was not interested in Wally, and I just wanted to say you are talking to the literal embodiment of that you were interested in Wally once.
Right. That's a good point. Okay, yeah. Well, I say rip the Band-Aid off as quickly as possible.
Yeah,
And
I am going to do that.
yeah, just see what happens, and please let me know. I know you will.
Oh, I will.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm dying to know the outcome of this one.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll just, maybe that'll just open up the world for her, and she won't have any more secrets.
Or maybe she'll just retreat further back into her little cave.
Anything is possible.
I mean, what did your mother do?
Nothing. She acted as if everything was perfectly normal.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, another possible outcome is she'll say, nope, wasn't him. I never slept with him.
well, she can't because you have proof. So,
But she doesn't, she ran, yeah, she should know. She worked at the hospital. She should know.
right. Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, yeah, with my mother can't wrap her head around it. I mean, and I've said it's science.
Right.
There's no way around it. And it's not that she denies it anymore. She just ignores it and pretends it's not there. So
I suspect that might be Mimi's approach, but
Yeah.
we will see. Yeah. And I portray her like she's nutty. She's not. She's one of the nicest people I've ever met. She has said such kind things to me. She's been so kind over the years. I do believe that she did not want me growing up with an alcoholic.
yeah,
I do believe she,
right.
I do believe she was taking care of her family. She's a very kind person.
That's very nice. That's good.
And I lucked out. And I lucked out because my birth mother's kind. My 2 siblings are great. My 2 cousins are great. What more could you ask,
Yes,
really?
that's right. That's very true. Okay. Well, wow, that was quite the journey.
Yep.
What is it that you call it? You told me when I first talked to you.
Oh, Mamma Mia, because it's got 3 fathers in it, right? Dr. Selfish, Dr. Blue Blood, and the Hometown Honey.
Hometown Honey, yay! I love it. Okay. All right. Well, that's the end of that for now, I guess. And I know you're going to keep us posted. Gosh, maybe by the time this part airs, you'll have an answer and we can do an addendum. We'll see.
I'm really hoping, yeah.
Yeah. Well, gosh, best of luck with that. That's such a great story, and I love the way you told it. And keep us posted.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Julie.
Have a great day.
So that is the end of Pattie's story so far when we spoke a couple weeks ago.
Wow.
I know.
Oh, my God.
Isn't
That
it
was
insane?
so great.
I know.
It was worth waiting 3 episodes for.
I know. Well, I love how every episode was something new. It was kind of like how I told my story.
It was.
Like
It was very much like that.
cliffhangers.
Yes.
Way to go, Pattie.
She's a good storyteller. Thank you, Pattie.
Yes, she is. She's great. There actually has been an update since last we spoke, or since that, and she actually texted me the other day.
Okay.
Because she's been talking about, you may remember that she said that she hasn't confronted her bio mother with the fact that Wally is her father.
Right.
And and she didn't know how to do it because she said that she's like a feral cat and like she has that flight or fight mentality. So she texted me the other day and said, I ripped off the Band-Aid tonight. It did not go well.
Oh, no.
She said she didn't know. She really thought it was Dr. Blue Blood.
Mm-hmm.
And she'd even yelled at Dr. Blue Blood for knocking her up. That's new. That's a new piece of information.
Wow.
But then she said she wasn't shocked it was Wally because she said she did sleep with him a lot that summer. And she should have broken it off with him when he told people they were engaged after he graduated from law school. So he was way more into her than she was to him, obviously. But she also said that her mother is furious that everyone knows, in parentheses.
Because of this interview? And
I think other people in her family, because they're in the interview, she revealed that one of her best friends is actually her cousin.
Okay. So, so.
That's crazy.
Right.
And so, of course, she's telling them about it. But I think ultimately this is going to be a good thing for Mimi because once she gets over the shock of that and the shame, I think a lot of it has to do with shame, as what happened to a lot of our mothers in the 60s.
Sure.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Also, keep in mind that there are a lot of adoptees that even though it's resolved and everybody has put everything on the table, they have difficulty forgiving from what and this is not me. I'm good. But in a lot of the groups that I'm a part of, a lot of people write about how they just can't let it go. Let the abandonment go and how. So, I think it actually comes on both sides, or it is on both sides. I have many issues with being adopted, obviously, and that's become my whole life.
Right. You know what? I wasn't adopted, and I got a lot of issues too.
Exactly. We get our issues from.
Yeah,
mine happens to be the primal wound.
We're humans, and we're going to have issues no matter what happens to us. So
right.
So I understand that. That's really fascinating. That sometimes even finding your birth parents is not really the end of the story, right? Because then you have to deal with the emotions.
For some people, yes.
That are brought up.
I mean, for me, it definitely was.
Right.
Even though I don't have all the answers, I'm probably never going to get that final one, like how they knew each other.
Right.
Obviously.
But even that, I mean, is it that important, right?
No.
Yeah, no. Because when it comes down to it, it was about where did I come from?
It's about where I came from.
Right.
And I actually have a feeling of gratification about all that. So it worked.
and it was great to hear this story too. So I'm so glad that all of you listeners are, or not all of you, but the people who are sharing their stories, please
keep them coming, guys.
Keep them coming. Yeah. It's so good. It's so
great. I love talking to you guys. So yeah, hey, that's the end of the show.
Well, then I think I'll tell them a little about myself.
Please do.
I'm Richard Castle. I'm a musician, composer, and you can go to my website, richardcastle.com, or you can follow me on Twitter @CastleSongs.
I'm Julie Dixon Jackson, @Jules Jackson with 2 O's on Twitter. The podcast on Twitter is @Cutoff Genes Pod. We have a Facebook group, the Cutoff Genes Podcast. You have to ask to join. And that's it. And as always, the truth is in your genes.